Kids across the country have been cooped up for weeks, if not months, because of the extended COVID-19 lockdowns, and it may really be taking a toll.
How did your life change when COVID hit?
I mean, as time progressed, it kind of got worse and worse with the changing of society and the changing of how people lived their day-to-day lives.
Recommend large public gatherings of 100 people or more be postponed or canceled altogether.
So personally, did COVID affect your prom experience?
Yeah, my prom was actually completely canceled for 2020.
And if we think about what kids need, they need routines, they need predictability, and they need adults who are in good shape psychologically themselves.
How do you think COVID had an effect on you, like mental health-wise?
I mean, before COVID, I guess I would say I had a different work ethic. I wouldn't say I have any mental issues due to COVID, but it definitely made me mature more as a person, I'd say.
Warns that kids and teens may develop serious mental health conditions because of the pandemic, including PTSD.
And there's no question that they may suffer ultimately from anxiety or depression or post-traumatic stress disorder.
How do you think other people mentally were affected by COVID?
I mean, just from the people I've seen and the people I've talked to around me, I'd say overall the people, you know, they're a lot sadder because of it.
How do you think that we should move forward past COVID?
I think as a generation as a whole, we're just going to have to be cleaner. We're going to have to be safer about.
We hope you enjoyed our project. Now I'm going to tell you guys about the editing process that made this project possible. So initially, we thought about which essay we were going to use. Quickly, we were able to determine that Samson's first essay about COVID would be the best, as it had the most opportunity for us to make more or less anything with it because of COVID being so overarching over the past few years. So we ended up deciding on making a documentary, which was our first idea, and that's what this final project was. It was an ad for said documentary, or a movie trailer. When making this movie trailer, we had to be sure that it was actually interesting and not just audio clips or video clips of us talking about COVID. So we added news clips from news shows, like CNN mostly, to spice it up a little bit and make it just a little bit more interesting, a little bit more bearable to watch. This took about few hours of editing to combine all this together, and the biggest challenge in this entire process was not adding content but removing content. Initially, I had the final project at about 5 minutes, but we knew we had to cut it down to about 2 minutes of content, and that involved cutting a lot of the stuff I wanted to add and that Samson wanted to add. So we had to not only cut the news clips, we also had to cut the interview clips a lot. So it sounds a little bit jumbled in some places because we cut about 90% of his response to each individual question, which kind of changes the message, but we edited it in such a way that it was still on point with what we wanted to convey with this entire project. Here's the editing software I used. This is a lot of clips, all the news sources and other stuff. And these are all the project library. I have a lot more that I could have added, but because of time restraints, I didn't. The other major hurdle for this project was the interviewing, which took a lot of time to sort that out because we live on different neighborhoods and it would have taken a lot of time to get together. So we decided to do a Zoom interview, which ended up working very well. But that was only through a lot of editing because there was a lot of blank space. We recorded a 2-hour Zoom session and we used about 2 minutes of the content total. Through this interviewing and editing, I hope we made a compelling project, and I want to thank you all for watching.